What was the Earth like during Pangea? Close your eyes and imagine a time when all the lands you know were fused into one immense body. One continent, one world. Vast, silent, breathing slowly beneath ancient skies. This is a story of ancient worlds and quiet transformations, of a planet awakening in silence. And if you crave histories that lull you into peaceful dreams, subscribe now to The Fated Clock. The tale begins far earlier than Pangea itself. To understand the weight of this singular landmass, we must drift back through unfathomable ages. The Earth was already old when Pangea formed. For billions of years, the planet's crust had been shifting, colliding, separating. The Archean Eon, some 4 billion years ago, saw the first stable cratons, the ancient seeds of continents. They were small, scattered like islands in an endless sea. Over time, those fragments joined and parted in a dance that would repeat across the ages. Gondwana, Laurasia, Rodinia, Columbia. Each supercontinent lived, then fractured, giving way to new forms. It is a rhythm written in stone, a heartbeat of deep time. By about 335 million years ago, the stage was set for another unification. Tectonic plates, carried on slow currents within the mantle, converged. A great collision began. Land masses drifted together, driven by forces far beneath human comprehension. The continents we now call Africa, South America, North America, Europe, and Asia, they inched toward each other, year by year across vast seas. Picture the world then. The ocean Panthalassa encircled nearly everything, immense and seemingly without end. Where waters receded, a supercontinent rose, pressing upward with the strength of mountains. This was Pangea, a single expanse of stone, soil, and river systems stretching from pole to pole. According to geological records preserved in the Smithsonian Institution's paleogeographic reconstructions, Pangea reached its maximum size around 300 million years ago, during the late Paleozoic. Its heart was dry, arid, swept by desert winds. Its edges bore lush forests where amphibians thrived, where the first reptiles traced their footprints in soft mud. Imagine standing at its center. No ocean within sight, only a horizon shimmering with heat. Winds carried the dust of endless plains. The air was different then, oxygen richer than today, supporting creatures of immense size. Insects as large as birds hovered above ancient ferns. This was Earth in transformation, yet to us it seems otherworldly. The silence of that land carries a weight we can still feel in rocks beneath our feet. Every mountain range we see today, every fold in the crust, whispers of those collisions long past. The Appalachians in North America, the Atlas in Africa, the Urals in Eurasia, all are remnants of Pangea's embrace, scars of continents bound together. The process of assembly took tens of millions of years, but when complete, it reshaped climate, ecosystems, and life itself. A single landmass meant fewer coastlines, fewer gentle maritime breezes. Instead, the interior baked in dryness, while monsoons swept the edges. According to studies in paleoclimatology, great deserts stretched across what is now northern Africa, while swampy forests flourished in parts of modern-day Europe and North America. Even the sea surrounding Pangea, Panthalassa, bore mysteries. It housed early coral reefs and ammonites spiraling gracefully in the currents. Life clung to coastlines, adapted to shifting tides and rising mountains. And so the Earth breathed in unison, a single world continent, a cradle of both hardship and abundance. As you drift deeper into this story, remember, this tale is not hurried. The Earth does not rush, and neither should we. If this ancient tale soothes your mind, hit like and subscribe for more timeless journeys into Earth's hidden past. In this chapter, we have seen the slow gathering of continents, the merging of lands into a single unified body. But what was life truly like upon this world? What creatures wandered its forests, and what climates shaped their survival? To know, we must step into the living world of Pangea and breathe its air. What secrets lie waiting in the pulse of that lost land? Life upon Pangea was as vast and varied as the land itself. With continents fused together, ecosystems spread across immense distances, creating both harsh deserts and verdant swamps, forests, and floodplains. Imagine walking among towering conifers, cycads, and early seed ferns, their branches swaying in the warm winds of the late Paleozoic. Beneath them moved creatures that seem both familiar and alien. The Carboniferous period, just before Pangea reached its height, had filled the earth with dense forests that left behind thick seams of coal. These forests carried into the early days of Pangea, forming damp refuges for amphibians larger than crocodiles and insects that reached the size of hawks. According to fossil evidence curated by the Geological Society of London, dragonflies with wingspans of 70 centimeters filled the skies, their flight sustained by an atmosphere rich with oxygen, nearly 35% compared to today's 21%. As time flowed forward into the Permian period, life began to change. Reptiles diversified, leaving behind their amphibian ancestors. The first true synapsids, sometimes called the mammal-like reptiles, appeared. Among them, the sail-backed Dimetrodon prowled river valleys, its long spines rising like a jagged fin above its back. These were not dinosaurs yet. Dinosaurs would come later, after a great reset of life. But the seeds of that age were being planted in these Permian landscapes. Step closer to the interior of Pangea, and you would find not forests but deserts. The central expanse of the supercontinent stretched so far from the ocean that rains rarely reached it. Sand seas rolled endlessly, golden under the sun. There, survival required resilience. Plants developed thick leaves to preserve water. Animals adapted to heat and scarcity. And in that arid silence, the earth sculpted dunes as high as mountains, still visible today in red desert rocks across North America and Africa. Closer to the coasts, life was richer. Lush wetlands teemed with amphibians. Dense forests cooled the air. Rivers fed great swamps that stretched for miles, the birthplace of coal deposits that humans would uncover hundreds of millions of years later. This interplay of desert and swamp, dryness and abundance, gave Pangea a climate of striking contrasts. According to paleoclimatic models published in Nature Geoscience, seasonal monsoons swept across the supercontinent's eastern edges, drenching forests in torrential rains, while inland regions withered in relentless drought. And what of the oceans that surrounded it? Panthalassa, the universal sea, was home to early sharks, bony fishes, and coiled ammonites drifting like silver spirals. The smaller Tethys Ocean, nestled between northern and southern Pangea, cradled reefs that harbored sponges, brachiopods, and corals. It was here that early marine reptiles, ancestors of the great ichthyosaurs, began to emerge. Pangea's wildlife thrived in diversity, yet it also endured challenge. The supercontinent's vastness created extreme climates that pressed species to adapt or perish. This pressure of survival drove evolution forward, shaping lineages that would one day dominate Earth. But Pangea was not a stable paradise. Beneath its soil, immense forces gathered. Volcanic fields rumbled in silence. Fault lines shifted with slow inevitability. The Earth was preparing for a transformation even more profound than the collision that had formed the continent. Toward the end of the Permian, about 252 million years ago, came a catastrophe that nearly ended life altogether. It is known as the Permian Triassic extinction, or simply, the Great Dying. According to research from the Smithsonian Institution and U.S. Geological Survey, over 90% of marine species vanished, along with 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. The causes were complex: massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia, a runaway greenhouse effect, and oceans turning anoxic and suffocating to life. The world of Pangea darkened. Forests collapsed. Deserts expanded further. For millions of years, Earth's ecosystems struggled in recovery, and yet life returned. From that devastation rose the ancestors of dinosaurs, crocodiles, and mammals. Evolution, slow and patient, filled the void with new forms. In the Triassic, the first true dinosaurs appeared, small and agile. Early pterosaurs took to the skies. Mammalian ancestors, no bigger than mice, scurried through undergrowth awaiting their distant chance. Imagine this resilience. From deserts to forests, from coasts to inland seas, life clung to every niche Pangea offered. The continent became a vast stage on which survival and adaptation played out for more than 100 million years. And so, when you think of Pangea, think not only of a landmass but of the lives it nurtured. Forests whispering with giant dragonflies, rivers where sail-backed predators hunted, shores lined with corals and ammonites. In every corner, a story unfolding quietly across the immensity of time. If these slow tales of Earth calm your thoughts, let them carry you deeper into rest. Like and subscribe to The Faded Clock to keep walking these ancient pathways with us. Now we have seen the breath of life upon Pangea, its deserts and forests, its oceans and skies. But all things change. Continents do not stay bound forever. So what happened when this colossal landmass began to break apart? When Earth itself pulled the seams of the world wide open? The story of Pangea does not end in stillness. Just as the Earth brought its continents together, so too did it pull them apart. Deep beneath the surface, currents of molten rock continued their restless flow. Tectonic plates strained against each other, and in time, fractures spread like cracks through ancient stone. Around 175 million years ago, in the early Jurassic, Pangea began to break. Rifts opened, and water from Panthalassa seeped into the wounds, forming new seas. The Atlantic Ocean was born as North America drifted westward from Europe and Africa. Later, India would speed north toward Asia, colliding to raise the Himalayas. South America would separate and move across the southern seas, forming the Andes. Australia, long bound to Antarctica, would drift into its own isolation. The continents we know today are the children of that ancient shattering. This slow dispersal reshaped the world. As coastlines multiplied, climates changed once more. The vast arid heart of Pangea dissolved into smaller, wetter regions. Rain returned to places long parched. Oceans carried new currents around new landmasses, redistributing heat and life. Where once the supercontinent's interior sweltered in silence, the Earth blossomed again with diversity. And upon this shifting stage, the dinosaurs thrived. In the Triassic, they were small and scarce. But as Pangea fractured, ecosystems diversified, giving rise to larger, more specialized species. Sauropods stretched their necks to the heights of conifer forests. Theropods grew fierce and agile, from slender hunters to the massive predators of legend. Pterosaurs ruled the skies, and the seas filled with ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, and countless other marine reptiles. According to paleontological studies at the American Museum of Natural History, the breakup of Pangea may have accelerated dinosaur evolution by isolating populations on drifting continents, forcing them to adapt to new climates and habitats. This grand separation seeded the differences that gave rise to the stunning variety of life in the Mesozoic era. But it was not only dinosaurs who owed their futures to the continent's fracture. Mammals, still small and secretive, also adapted quietly in the shadows of giants. As the land masses spread apart, they carved out niches that would one day allow them to flourish when the age of dinosaurs came to a close. The oceans, too, were transformed. As the Atlantic widened, new coastlines nurtured reefs, estuaries, and shallow seas filled with abundance. Panthalassa, once an endless singular sea, was divided into the Pacific, the Indian, and the Atlantic, each with its own currents and characters. It is easy to imagine these changes as violent, but in truth they were slow beyond human imagination. Entire lifetimes passed with continents drifting mere centimeters. Mountains rose not in sudden leaps, but in patient increments, their summits reaching skyward across millions of years. The Earth does not hurry. It endures and it changes. Today we still live in the wake of Pangea's story. The very shape of our world, the outline of continents upon a globe, is the legacy of that ancient supercontinent. The Himalayas, the Rockies, the Appalachians, each carries the memory of collisions that bound the world together. Fossils of the same species found in South America and Africa, India and Antarctica, are silent witnesses to a time when those lands were one. And even now, the Earth continues its drift. The Atlantic grows wider every year. The Pacific shrinks. In the deep future, hundreds of millions of years from now, new continents may again converge, perhaps forming a future supercontinent that geologists sometimes call Pangea Proxima. The story may yet repeat, another unification beneath skies unknown. What then is the legacy of Pangea? It is not only a memory of land and stone, it is a reminder of time's immensity, that continents move as slowly as thoughts and dreams, that the world we walk today is but one chapter in an endless book, that life, fragile and resilient, finds ways to adapt, whether joined upon a single land or scattered across distant shores. So let this knowledge ease your mind. When you look at a map, see not separation but kinship. Remember that the continents were once one, and may be again, that the forests, deserts, and mountains of today are written in the language of yesterday, that beneath your feet the earth still shifts softly, carrying us into futures beyond our imagining. If these reflections bring you calm, let them stay with you. Like and subscribe to The Faded Clock, to rest again in Earth's deep past, where stories unfold at the pace of eternity. And so our journey ends, in the quiet echo of Pangea's dissolution. The world we know exists because it broke apart. The lives we know exist because of that change. And the Earth, steady and vast, will continue to write new chapters long after we are gone. When you close your eyes tonight and let sleep carry you, perhaps you will dream of a land where all the continents meet again, and oceans whisper around a single world. Will you be there to walk its shores, in another age of Earth's becoming? Thank you for drifting through deep time with us. If these ancient Earth histories bring you peace, subscribe now to The Faded Clock for more journeys into the silence of ages.